to touch on two things as we begin. What is the potential of a Kenyan who has deliberately decided to voluntarily make himself or herself a diaspora? What's the potential? The potential out there is great. So is the potential at home. So as we start, let's look at the potential we have rather than the challenges and the problems that we have.
Filipinos pump into their economy every single year $40 billion, whooping $40 billion. That's like 4 trillion Kenyan shillings. Okay? So it's like double the annual Kenyan national budget. The Filipinos, they are 10 million, we are 3 million. Now, our premise is that, look, if we do certain things to the diaspora that are being done to the Filipino diaspora, theoretically, we should be able to do a third of the $40 billion, which would be about $10 to $12 billion every year. But we are not even being that ambitious. We are saying first, can we lift it from 2 billion to 4 billion or 5 billion? Because we know from what the Filipinos have done, if you make diaspora feel welcome, you make them feel their investments feel secure, you give them maybe some incentives, financial as well as non-financial. Ethiopia, for example, government gives 70% collateral cover. If an Ethiopian is going to build a house, say in Addis Ababa or anywhere else in Ethiopia, so 70% is guaranteed covered by government. So that's the kind of incentive we are talking about. The government of China does similar. Once somebody has been, a small business person has been doing business outside China for about 2-3 years, and you have started making profit, you get 50,000 automatic grant to help you do business. These are just two examples. Mexico, together with the Western Union, have a program called 1x4. The 1x4 program, how it works, if you have a Kenyan, say in Toronto, who hails from Taveta County, every dollar that he sends for investment, as long as the project has got a socio-economic value, okay, so it could be a housing project, real estate project, or it could be an energy or infrastructure project, or it could be a private school, or it could be a private hospital. So a project where the community has an element of benefiting, what Rockefeller calls impact investment. Then for every dollar that you send, the local or county government also matches it with a dollar. I think it was Murang'a County that was talking of shilingi kwa shilingi. A commendable idea, I think, in my view. So it's modeled almost like that, but it goes a little further. If the national or federal government is also convinced, it will also put in a dollar. So that's $3. And then finally, the remitting company, in this case, Western Union, also puts in a dollar. So the $1 automatically becomes $4.
Now you could ask yourself, do you want to play a role or you just want to enjoy being in the diaspora? I could have enjoyed my life being a learned man. By now I would have been retired and happy, sitting somewhere in the basking sun, you know. That is not the answer. The answer is today to change minds of our people. 46% is official, they say, below poverty line. But really, actually, when you look at it, more than 50%. Our children go to sleep with half meal a day. And sometimes no meal a day. That is our problem. And how collectively we put together can come and help build these things. This is the answer to an expatriate who has seen something else differently than what is here, is to come and plant those ideas and thoughts. Be after your brothers and siblings, write to them in a continuous manner and say that, hey, and now you don't have to write, you can just even email to them, and every day you can remain in contact, you can be on Skype, you can be on so many other things. Is to build them. While you are building yourself on the other side, you build them here. And not
across all the platforms where Kenyans are operating, the diaspora remittances are increasing. And the role of our human resources continues to be more significant. I traveled to Los Angeles and I found that the largest landfill, I think the second largest landfill on the planet, is run by a guy called Mahinda from Kiambu County. And I was surprised because if you go to Dandora, we haven't been able to resolve Dandora. It is still a landfill that doesn't generate any energy to any grid. It's polluting the air, and it is a venue where criminals operate. When we have a Kenyan running the largest landfill in Los Angeles. I was also somewhere in Florida, and I was privileged to meet a Kenyan who works for NASA, who was one of the key people who determined the algorithm of some of the space missions that leave this Earth and conduct exploration in outer space. And those are Kenyans. I've been in the United Kingdom and visited with a Kenyan community near Oxford, a lot of them who do not have formal paperwork to operate in the UK, and they work for in the motor industry, in the assembly plants. And I was surprised to note that they remit over 50% of their earnings back home every week. So on a continuing basis, money is being received in this country by the sweat, by the brains, and by the effort of people in diaspora. The reality is that as a country, we are not doing too bad. Our national public debt is at 47% of GDP. I think Ghana is close to 98%. The United States of America, where many of you come from, make it your homework to determine what their public debt to GDP is. But I can assure you, it is much higher than Kenya. Now, what is it that we are not doing right? And where are the challenges? I think the challenges lie in the fact that we don't communicate very well. The challenges lie in the fact that as Kenyans, we love politics too much. As a chamber, we are a very useful agent in making the diaspora agenda successful. And in fact, when the foreign policy was being launched a few months ago, we played an active role and we told government that the conversation around how we can best unlock the potential of diaspora can only happen in the presence of private sector. For those of you who may have been there, I think you saw Chris Kirubi told the president, can you get those PSs who are sitting in the front with you out? It is the private sector who need to be sitting there having the conversation with you. Why do we say that? We say that because we are where the rubber meets the road. What is it that drives the diaspora? A lot of them are looking for security. A lot of them are looking for a nest egg when they get tired where they are. And they would like to invest in real estate, they'd like to invest in stocks, they'd like to invest in commercial activity, they would like their money to be in a safe haven.
And when we did the Vision 2030, which we implement in 5 years, we are now implementing the second medium-term plan, 2013-2017. The second medium-term plan, we were very clear the responsibility and the role of the diaspora. And indeed, the second medium-term plan stressed the point of increasing capital. And 3 areas we identified as we can release capital in this country. One was the local savings. Second was the diaspora. And thirdly was foreign direct investments. So you can imagine we group them in that category. What are the specific areas of ongoing projects which we can actually share with the diaspora and which we can come in terms of the engagement? And I'm going to start with one because it's dear to me. It might not be in the medium-term plan, but I think it's something we can organize ourselves as a diaspora and do it. And that is what you're referring to, a light commuter rail in Nairobi. I think Moses, you are familiar with it. It's an initiative we are starting from the Secretariat. We want to do a light commuter rail from Othello to the airport. Does that interest you? That is a rail where it will carry about 300, 200 people. Tuesday I had a meeting with perhaps one of the best companies in the world, which does Atkins, and they are very keen. Now, the only thing, and I work for government, the only thing we need to do is not ask a penny from government, because it will never happen. But can we mobilize the local resources? My brother in Forbes, I hear insurance industry have over 1 trillion Kenya shillings. Is that correct? Good amount of money. The circles have 500 billion Kenya shillings. Pension funds. The houses coming up in this town, particularly in Upper Hill, they are not borrowing from outside. It's a local saving. It's a local mobilization of resources. I bet today borrowing in dollars is the most expensive thing to do. My friend from Treasury can better. Unlikely, the interest rate in the US will go up, so it will become more expensive. Then how do we mobilize our people? And it's one thing we need to mobilize our people to get those resources. We must be transparent, we must be people of integrity, we must manage those funds well. I don't think there's somebody who can manage those well than the diaspora. If we can create what I refer to as a diaspora bond, that bond is possible for us to do that later. It will cost about 600 million US. So you can translate that to Kenya shillings. That is something we can do. That's something you can even form a company. And that train will offload the kind of traffic jams we have. Thika Road now, for those who start, is now a parking lot. My friend Moses was staying at Riara, I think this side of town. When Thika Road was done, he said, I then moved to Thika Road. Now he's regretting why he left. He wanted to go back again. And I think what is important, how do we take that opportunity we have? An opportunity where we can provide that transportation. And therefore, to me, that not being a flagship is something we can package and see how we sell in diaspora. The second one, and this is perhaps my flagship in my own way, to ensure that we have estate, we have a real estate for the diaspora. When they come home, when they come back home, they want somewhere to stay. And we can do that all the way, where they give them almost special rates in terms of buying property, in part by land. And I don't know why we have not picked that. That is something we can package. We have a secluded estate and say for the diaspora, this is how much you buy. We must charge you 1% or 3% in terms of the interest rate. So those
opportunities to do farming. Recently, there was a Japanese delegation that came and they had a meeting in the State House. And one company said, any amount of sesame that Kenya, all of you as a country can produce, we guarantee we'll buy it. One company. Yeah. Big hotels are opening up in Nairobi all the time. We have now Radisson Brew, which is even not a month old. Kempinski, Best Western, Crown Plaza. So there's so many, and we are next year, 2016, we are likely to get at least another 4 chains of international business setting up in Kenya. So there's a lot of opportunity for conferencing facilities. The other thing I would say is that the national investment policy process is going on now. We would like to also invite you to send a memorandum so that if there are issues that have stopped you from investing in this country and they have not been addressed by any law or any policy, send to us a memorandum so that we can be able to include that. I think in our website you'll find details, and we are going to give you sufficient time to contribute. Capacity development, we are setting up a one-stop shop which will be open by maybe end of February early next year, where even if you wanted to invest in any country, you come and start there. We'll give you all the process so that when you go to the country, then you don't face any challenges. We're already having a network with all the county executive committee members who are in charge of investment.
And as an ICL asset management, we've been around for more than 30 years, and we've been investing on behalf of our clients for more than 30 years. Essentially, as a group, we are a one-stop shop for financial services. We offer financial services in terms of insurance, investment, retirement schemes, individuals, trusts, and various institutions. And what we are basically saying is that it doesn't matter what kind of an investor you are. Whether you've got 5,000 shillings, 10,000 shillings, 50,000 shillings, 1 billion shillings, we have a product that will be able to cater for your investment needs. So we have come up with a product which we developed last year called QROPS. It's called the Qualifying Recognized Overseas Pension Scheme. And that is a pension scheme that enables anybody who has worked in the United Kingdom and who has a pension scheme to transfer their scheme to us tax-free. And we have been in the short list under Her Majesty's government to be able to facilitate that transfer on a tax-free basis. And for that reason, there are various benefits that accrue from that product. One is what we call tax efficiency, that you are able to avoid 55% UK tax. We offer you minimum guaranteed returns of 4%. We also offer you early retirement at 55. You can be able to access your benefits. You can be able to access your lump sum and basically be able to do whatever it is that you want to do in terms of your requirements in terms of pension schemes.
I'll give you a quick rundown. We have been in office for the last 9 months. We have done a lot to make a difference to Homa Bay and make it an investment destination, such that for you who are in the diaspora, you can come over and invest in Homa Bay. And tourism is a key player in Homa Bay. As we say, you know, right now the insecurity situation at Mombasa, so people have resented coming to Kenya simply because of the insecurity. We want to make Homa Bay the next tourism destination. We are just on the western circuit, Homa Bay. We have a national park with a lot of rare species that are available there, and we are developing that as well.
As we talk right now, we have engaged more than 50 PhDs in the US alone, and we have some that we're engaging right now, even in South Africa. The ones in the US are actually involved in developing curriculum that are project-based and, you know, kind of putting the courses together. So we are hoping that as we break ground, we know exactly what we'll be teaching and what is going to be going on in this particular institution. First of all, we think that we want to start with just 3 schools: the School of Engineering, the School of Business, and the School of Technology. And the key thing is going to be project-based learning, experiential. We want the students to be there for 2 to 3 semesters, getting in the knowledge, but we want them to go out there and apply that knowledge in real life, solving practical problems, whether engineers or social scientists or philosophers, you know, go out there.
The sun is shining in abundance here. I mean, seriously. And you know, Germany is kind of the leader now in solar PV plants, which I always think this is ridiculous because we have like a quarter of the sun shining in my country than you have it in your country, you know. But still, so yeah, think about solar energy also in Kenya. It makes sense. It really makes sense. That's what we see. Provides energy security. It increases planning dependability because with solar PV, you know, the sun never charges you. Your diesel provider charges you, your KPLC charges you, and those energy prices are rising, and they will rise in the future.
Suffice it to say at this moment that the Diaspora Investment Club, which is one of our partners, not sponsors, but partners as well, is in 5 business areas already. It's into real estate. It's acquired recently a stock brokerage agency, being rebranded now Diaspora Stock Brokerage Agency, so that diaspora who want to buy stocks or shares of this Nairobi Stock Exchange can do it through our own company. And hopefully in the future, not only at Nairobi Stock Exchange, but also maybe London Stock Exchange, Joburg, New York, and the Wall Street. That's the direction we are looking at. We are also in the process of forming a Diaspora Forex Bureau. You already heard that there's a Diaspora Bank. Some of us are participating in that, and we are inviting the window. There's still a small window open for people who want to invest. Stanley has introduced him earlier. We are also into consultants, getting people who would want to invest in 6 East African countries: Ethiopia, Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, South Sudan, and DRC. And Honorable Chief Guest, we are already talking to 2 organizations, one willing to put in $1 billion into South Sudan, another willing to put $1.5 billion, the world's 2nd largest storage company, into Lapset. So we are into those areas, and we are working with the county government of Turkana for a solar power image. And we give DICL a round of applause.
there are certain things that members of the diaspora can do which they uniquely are qualified for. Bring home to the people at home the reality that the frontier of knowledge and competition is beyond national borders. In Africa alone, there is a shortage of up to $2.5 trillion required in physical infrastructure. Broadband infrastructure, telephony, electricity, roads, rails. The estimation is that we need $93 billion every year to sustain investment in infrastructure to realize the ambitions of Agenda 2030 on the continent. I shared with the chairman that if I have one urgent to make to the Kenyan diaspora, I don't tell you about which investment opportunities exist where in the country. And I'm very glad to listen to a very eloquent and very, very clear-sighted Deputy Governor from Homa Bay. You know, it's nice to see managers instead of political charlatans running the county government. But beware, the realization that power has shifted to the counties is going to drive all political charlatans to compete with managers in taking over the leadership of powers. But I wanted to say this. One important model where younger, progressive persons are making a great impact in their societies, beyond the traditional areas of going to real estate here, investing together with others in something there, create some wealth, is the notion of impact investment. That there are so many possibilities demonstrated today that the greatest impact you can have on unemployment in rural Kenya, the greatest impact you can have on reviving hope that education, national peace, clear-sighted policies will deliver us from the uncertainty, help bring that home, not just in politics, in enterprise, in education, and in our social relationship. Thank you very much for your time.
Ladies and gentlemen, partnering is an advanced competence. The best example is marriage. Only those who are competent enter it. So ladies and gentlemen, let's congratulate this partnership for the development of this country. They will set a good example and others will follow. So thank you very much, Alexander Forbes, and thank you very much, KDA. Ladies and gentlemen, another applause for these partners.
We're also especially delighted because an initiative that we have worked on for the last couple of years is coming to fruition. The Memorandum of Understanding that we have signed this morning with the Kenya Diaspora Alliance is for the establishment of a new pension and savings plan for the Kenyan diaspora. This, I believe in years to come, this will be seen as an important milestone in terms of the investment opportunities, services and benefits to the Kenyan diaspora, and also from a Vision 2030 perspective, an important boost to the growth of savings in this country.
In 2010, we all know very well, we got a new constitution. And the judiciary was put at the center of, as a custodian of this constitution. It is a task and a responsibility that the judiciary has taken very, very seriously. And our new constitution is transformative in at least 3 ways. And there are 3 ways in which the judiciary has moved from its past tradition of mechanical jurisprudence to a new tradition of functional jurisprudence that is now espoused in our new constitution. The first way in which our constitution is transformative is that politically, our constitution is designed to protect the few from the many. What I mean by that is that the civil and political rights that are embedded in our constitution now protect all minorities, protect vulnerable people, protect marginalized people and their rights, civil and political rights. Secondly, our transformative constitution, economically, it protects the many from the few. In other words, our constitution protects people from some of the greatest depravities that can be found in the marketplace. And that is why we have in our constitution some of the safety valves of social and economic rights that are supposed to be provided by the state at particular times. And then thirdly, our constitution is meant to ensure good governance and the rule of law. This includes ensuring security for all people in Kenya, physical security within the framework of the rule of law.
Do not believe your doubts and doubt your beliefs. Please. Be strong, take responsibility. So if you can go round the corner in as straight as you can, you are always able to do much faster. In a section with a kilometer with 40 corners, you can make 40 seconds from your competitors. You can be 40 seconds quicker by the end of the stage. I just want to tell you that, brothers, sisters, the people who are out there, we have a lovely country. Today you have just been told about this day. You have the day of corruption. Let us stop it. Let us kill it completely. It is something that is addictive. Something that we should discard completely. One thing that I would want not to see, and I want you to give me your support. It's the abstract form. The abstract form is a colonial document which is the only remaining document into our system, which was introduced when the globe roundabout used to be closed at 5 o'clock. Ilikuwa ni bridge, daraja inafungwa namna hiyo kuja pande hii, so that the guys who are living Karioko na Majengo wakienda nyumbani wakae pande hiyo. But now, because the guys had also found a way of bringing their people to the city council to come and start sweeping and helping, they would come. Now they say, I've forgotten my pass because I've left it with my brother to come with it. Then the police introduced now the abstract form. If you lose this, go and get the abstract form. You come with it. Today, that is the most corrupt document we have. It doesn't matter, is that 20 shillings, the people, but it is the most corrupt document, and for sure, there's better ways of managing it. And that is why I would like also our NGOs to give them the challenge. Most of the challenge that I would like to see from our NGO group is that let's get the things which remove hindrances from the Mwananchi, which bring these so many documents doing the same thing, which you don't have to do this, the same thing. And they can be able to do that. If you remove that, you will see how easy. If you lose your certificate, for example, go to the Ministry of Education, get the desk and get it from there. If you lose from the insurance, go to the insurance company and get that form from there. You don't have to go to the police for them to stamp for you and bring it back again, waste your time and come back and manage all of that kind of things. Seriously, thank you very much for your kind.
Those who put in their life and blood for democracy could, at the altar of convenience, reverse the same thought process and want to think backwards. Sometimes I wonder what happens with us when we get power. A gentleman who thought would be upright and straight, objective, can actually walk on their head as opposed to walking on their feet. It's unfortunate. And that's the reality of life, and people must be reminded. Democracy is painful. People lost lives. Women were widowed at the pleasure of somebody. You would be a widow at the pleasure of one man, because they will execute your husband yesterday and you are a widow. Children became fatherless, courtesy of that dictatorship. My brother died because, of course, mysterious circumstances that took his life. Personally, I've been attacked 5 times, 3 times brutally. In fact, I'm alive here by the grace of God. And I'm not dying soon until I complete my mission. And when I listen to some people who have gone through that pain, let me give you an example. Currently, there's a debate that parties must merge or marry by force or collapse by force, courtesy of, tendency of numbers. If land records were electronically linked and you could access them, you can even do a search abroad. These are issues that are critical to you. Yeah? try to again clean lands, is a cash cow. Corruption fights back. You cannot have a computer accessing documents. Again, this process requires a total engineering. I mean, we really require a new conversation around corruption.
What is the rule of law? Simply put, it means a society where people are governed by the laws of land and not by whims of another, or the rule of man. It envisages a society where all the people are equal before the law and no one is above the law. The law is assumed to be blind to the status, gender, position, or any disposition of any individual to whom the law applies. What is the role of the judiciary? How then does the judiciary uphold the rule of law? Traditionally, courts were deemed to be concerned with resolving disputes between individuals and transgressions against the state. However, courts now have a key role to play essentially with the dawn of modern-day Bill of Rights. Today, I challenge everyone of us here today to join hands in the fight against this impunity and help build Kenya where the rule of law reigns. Thank you very much.
There are two things that have happened. One is that at least you know that in 2013 we carried out a pilot exercise to enable the Kenyan citizens living in Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, and where else? 4 countries, Burundi, to participate in the election. And these are the numbers, for you to know, that when we set out to go and register voters in the East African region, the total number of the Kenyan diaspora who registered in those countries was about 2,500. In the 4 countries, 2,400, right? Yes. And the participation rate, I think, was about 60% of those are the ones who participated in the last general election. While perhaps the investment from a casual look may not have, been termed to be the wise way of spending taxpayers' money, for us as the institution responsible to run elections, we learned a lot of things. It was a test on what we expect in many other parts of the world.
So it's a tool that has very helpful information. Now, we also have a very interesting tool on iVote, and that is the capability to actually vote for your president. It's doable, we have tested it, and it can be done. This is a child of your desires. This is a child of your own work, the things that KDA and his partners wanted to do. And all that we came in to do, all that Mr. Preston Hall came in to do, was to enable those desires. So please don't look at the person who's built the road and say, but that's not our road. You're the dreamers of this road.
And we also were doing our own voting just to demonstrate this power. We had a number of the members who were voting across the world. We started by nominating. We say, who do you think should be the Kenyan hero? It was called the Chairman's Award. So I was privileged to decide who it should be, but I thought it's better that I engage the members of the association to do that. So we ended up with about 120 names, most of them the very eminent Kenyans that you know in the sport. After pre-voting, we listed to 9. And I want just to disclose the 9 that were shortlisted. And then we went to voting now for those 9. 12-hour window. People are voting online and via mobile, our mobile M-Vote platform. Number 1 in alphabetical order was Congestina, you know her. Number 2 was Dr. Griffiths, Tarehe Boys. 3 was our Chief Justice, Dr. Willy Mutunga. 4, this is alphabetical order, General Daudi Tonje. 5, John Gidongo. 6, Lupita Nyong'o. 7, Tom Boyer. 8, John Michuki. 9, Zen Vaji. Okay, can we give them a round of applause? The Kenyan diaspora decided the person they feel should be Kenya hero is General Daudi Tonje. Can we give a round of applause?
May I read to you why we think he deserves this. David Donche, a former Chief of General Staff for the Kenyan Defense Forces, he introduced the most drastic changes which were wholeheartedly supported by other, sorry for the technology, other generals who after him and the military family. He pioneered radical changes in military, now known as Tonje Rules. Tonje Rules or concepts have been translated into meaningful transformation in the Kenyan military. He demonstrated to Kenya Diaspora Alliance values during his term as the Chief of General Staff.
And to the government's credit, I think a number of things have happened in the recent past. Number one, foreign embassies, I think, now have a clear and explicit mandate to engage with the diaspora. And I think that that is a good thing. I think that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is now positively sensitive to your contribution, and you are being engaged constructively and meaningfully. The fear they have is that if all of you were to choose to vote in any direction, you will determine who the leaders of this country are. And every politician across the political divide is asking, are they on my side?
So let me just focus on the areas that are specific to the diaspora. I think I have just about 3 minutes left. Firstly, when you talk about investment, the main focus I had here was in investment. There's always a challenge of being taxed twice. Because if we tax based on residence. So if you're invested in Kenya, you make profits in Kenya, you'll be taxed here. It's important that when your money then gets back to where you are, you're not taxed again. Okay? Because if you, for example, in the US, they use worldwide income. Most countries use worldwide income taxation. They'll tax whoever it comes from. Now, when we have double taxation agreements, and we've already signed about 14 of them, then you get a tax credit on the other side. So that's very important. The returns that you make here will not then end up being taxed where you come from. Then, secondly, with respect to members who return to this country, the ECMA in the East Africa, as you know, we have just one act that governs the regional, all the regional trading partners, East African Community Customs Management Act, and the act specifically recognizes returning residents. Essentially, that means that you don't have to pay tax on your personal effects. One of the challenges that many members of the diaspora have had, and this matter was raised with the President last year, is that if you're living in a left-hand drive country, we don't allow you to bring left-hand drive cars in Kenya. Then if you then decide, okay, I can't bring my car, I will sell it. You come with and you buy a right-hand drive, you're then taxed. Now that has been changed so that you actually get that credit as well. And last year, I remember when I was at the conference at Windsor, we did promise that we were going to have the VAT Act amended so that even the VAT on the same is also removed, and that has been done in this year's Finance Act. So that's now a law.
We want our diaspora to connect with all the development efforts at national and county level. Once they connect, we would like a mutual empowerment and then invest.